couple of minutes away from race number 19. This is the Women's Collegiate JV, and it will be the first of their heats.
Event number 17, Women's Collegiate Second Varsity 8, Lane 1, University of California, Berkeley. Lane 2, Washington State University. Lane 3, UCLA. Lane 4, University of Iowa. Lane 5, University of Oklahoma. Lane 6, University of Alabama. Lane 7, Cal State University, Sacramento. The bows are aligned. Waiting for the starter to announce the crews from lane 1 out to lane 7. I'm sitting even with the bow balls. They're perfectly aligned. No wind to mention at all, so there's no sculling being done by any of the crews.
Cal, Washington State.
The announcer, excuse me,
UCLA.
the starter is now
Iowa.
announcing the crews.
Oklahoma, Alabama, Sacramento. Attention.
Here we go.
Go.
There's the start. Event number 19, Women's Second Varsity 8. And very clean start. Moving our position up now. Looks like UCLA might own the lead. Yes, in fact, they are your race leader in lane number 3, UCLA. Cal Berkeley in lane 1 is pushing back to challenge for that lead. UCLA with about a 2-seat advantage over UC Berkeley. Washington State is in that 3rd spot. And in lane 5, it's Oklahoma, then Iowa, then Sacramento State, and Alabama trails the fleet. 250 meters into the race, the Bruins from UCLA with a 3-seat advantage over UC Berkeley. Washington State is in that 3rd spot, sitting about a length down on the 2nd place crew. The Sooners are in 4th, about a half a boat length down. Then in 5th, it's Iowa. 6th is Sacramento State, and the Crimson Tide is trailing. Here we are coming up to the 500-meter mark. UCLA now with a 6-seat advantage over UC Berkeley. 3rd position goes to Washington State. 4th to Oklahoma, then Iowa. Then it's now the Crimson Tide and Cal State University Sacramento trails. This is event number 19, Women's Second Varsity 8.
Checking our lane assignments once again, it is Cal in lane number 1, currently battling for the lead. Washington State in lane 2. Our current leader is rowing out of lane 3, that's UCLA, followed by Iowa. They are in lane number 4. Lane 5 is Oklahoma. Lane 6 would be Alabama, and Sacramento State in lane number 7.
UCLA have wins so far this year over Loyola Marymount and the University of San Diego. Iowa are also undefeated. They have wins over Clemson, Syracuse, Boston University, Indiana, Purdue, and Purdue lightweights. Oklahoma are out in lane 5 in the middle of the course. They've beaten Tulsa, Kansas State, Southern Methodist twice, University of San Diego, and Central Florida, but have gone down to Kansas and Texas. Alabama have beaten Dayton and Kansas, but have lost to Notre Dame, Tennessee, and Louisville. And Sacramento State on the far side are also unbeaten They've beaten San Diego State, Humboldt State, and UC San Diego. Of course, I haven't mentioned the crews in lanes 1 and 2, California and Washington State. Haven't raced so far this year, but they come from historically strong programs.
UCLA on the lead on this one. Cal, Washington State, Oklahoma, Iowa, Alabama, and Sacramento State. UCLA jumped out to the early lead. Cal has been matching them pretty much stroke for stroke once they got into a rhythm after the first 150 meters. Washington State is hanging in there. Iowa, Oklahoma on the outside. Alabama and Sacramento State is trailing. Looks like Alabama may have moved up. But on our lead continues to be UCLA. And they look like they have a bit of an open water lead there.
Yes, I think UCLA do have an open water lead. They're beat tracked very closely by Washington State in 2 and Cal in 1. Cal and Washington State are going stroke for stroke with each other. What often happens in a race is that when two crews do get locked in that battle with each other side by side, they can really push each other on to the crew in front and away from the crews behind. That sort of private battle is big incentive to going faster. On the other hand, sometimes they can lose track of the other crews in the race as well, which is why they're going to have to be very careful of that Oklahoma crew out in lane 5.
Oklahoma certainly has not gone away, although just as I made that comment, they made kind of an oblique move to the outside and lost a little bit of their guidance and that straight line, which you desperately need in a 2,000-meter race. You don't want to have to race or pull one more stroke more. And they accounted for a little bit of an out move, but UCLA continues to stay in the lead. We have open water back to the 3 crews that are kind of hanging in there. It would be Washington State, Cal, and then Oklahoma, despite their little detour, seems to have gotten back into it a little bit. Iowa far outside. We're going to go with Sacramento State and then Alabama. UCLA, our leader, they have some open water, and on this contest, we're going to have to watch for what's happening with the second and third position of the women's collegiate varsity. And this is going to be 2 crews moving forward. So the battle will be for second spot on this to see who gets into the grand final. UCLA on the lead. Cal has really picked it up along the shoreline, and they have gotten into that second spot with a little bit more verve, with Washington State on their outside shoulder. Then on the far outside, Oklahoma continuing to try to make a race of it, but somebody's going to get there for second spot, and right now it looks like Cal.
Yes, very good performance from the UCLA crew now. They look very polished. Cal starting to move away a little bit from Washington State, and the rest of the field is starting to come back to them a little bit, with the Oklahoma crew finishing strongly.
This is UCLA on the finish line, and they are the unofficial winner of this one. It looks like Cal has slid into second spot. Washington State will pick up third. Outside will be Oklahoma. Inside of them, Iowa kind of picked it up from nowhere. They were really trailing by quite a bit. They did sneak up in there for their next position. Then Alabama and Sacramento State. The 2 moving forward unofficially, UCLA and Cal, followed by Washington State and Oklahoma.